Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Gen Z, and her name is Jamie, and she's going to share about high ticket closing. Before I just let her take control of the Zoom, basically for me, my own experience of high ticket closing is during the COVID period, where many educators they have to stop their one-to-one classes and wonder what to do next, right? The high ticket closing actually saved my business. So what happened was because I have quite a large following, about 11,000 at the point in time. Then we actually conduct a free session online and we offer who wants to get help by me for the next 9 months and to get high grades for PSLE math. So I think I can't remember, it was 6 years ago. So is it 100 people turn up? And then we have about 10 front end sales plus some back end sales. So at that single webinar alone brought us a total of $32,000 just from that one time. So at that point in time, I realized that, I can sell online, high ticket, yes. So anyway, I'm a big believer in that. And Jamie, so welcome. I know that you came before, just briefly share with us, who are you, what you do, and then just enter the topic.
Sounds good. I'm Jamie Ah Jing Min. I'm a 23-year-old aspiring entrepreneur. I probably dabbled in more things you can imagine throughout my youth. Now, I did a normal 9 to 5 internships. I freelanced before as a content creator, still am doing it now. Built my personal brand online. Also entered the whole remote workspace, which is pretty much what I focus on a lot right now through my personal brand, which is to show people more different pathways that they can take into the entire remote work lifestyle. And one of the pathways I took was also being like a high ticket closer in the remote high ticket sales industry. So just to give you guys some context, how this industry works is basically a lot of coaches online right now, they're selling programs through their social media and they cannot possibly take all the sales calls themselves because they have hundreds of leads coming in every single day. So what they do to scale is to hire closers like myself, who are considered independent contractors that offer our service to the company, and then we earn a commission out of it. So it's 100% commission based. I entered it because I was really hoping to gain more financial independence in my last year of university. And I had very ambitious goal back then of earning $10,000 a month. It was just the entry point into 5-figure months, and it was just everything I worked towards. But whatever I did back then wasn't going to get me that 10K a month. So I needed a vehicle, and that was high ticket sales. I came across this concept online, and what I did was invested $3,000 to $4,000 USD in my last year of university into my own education. Also because I knew by hook or by crook I was going to collect this skill. It's too important not to. So that's just a brief introduction. I can share more about my story now. So the entire sales journey for me was actually quite difficult in the sense that my first year absolutely trashed me. Consumer high ticket sales is typically an inbound sales industry. And what happened is that you hop on a 1-hour Zoom call, you try to close them within that period. In my journey, I closed over 150K USD of total of revenue within 3 months of part-time work.
Wow.
It sounds very flashy, but no one knows I earned $0 in my very first year in the
Really?
industry.
So they take all.
Sorry?
So they took all the money, as in you have zero commission.
More like I didn't. So what happened was that my very first job, somehow I wanted the inbound side of things, but my first job was cold calling people instead to sell health supplements. That job had both inbound and outbound opportunities, but my mentor in the company said that outbound gave you more money within the organization. So I didn't know it also gave you more trauma, because I will never forget this call where a woman thought I was selling insurance, and then she was like, F you, and then she hung up.
Sorry to hear that.
And as Singaporeans, we're naturally very sheltered, right? Having this interaction was like a punch to my gut, but it was a very eye-opening one. Now I can say it like that lah. I quit after a month, but beyond the impact that it had on me, I had never used and never really believed in what I was selling to people with real health conditions. I had no idea how those supplements would interact with their condition. So I guess the very first lesson of the day is if you lead with authenticity, you're not built to sell something you don't actually believe in, because that would really suck your soul away. And because I really couldn't take it anymore, that's when I quit. And because that entire commission structure, it was more progressive based rather than, every sale you make, you get one. So I didn't really earn much that time. But when I quit, I told myself I was like mentally weak, that I couldn't handle rejection, that I failed. And it was the end of that sales journey. And I felt I wasted money and that I'll never be good at sales. That was at least my mindset back then. Then 1 year later, I randomly saw a job opportunity. And now that I tended that wound to my ego, right, my conviction in learning sales came back because I still believe it's an important skill. So what I did was I hopped to another offer, something that I believed in more, And I started off not as a closer, but as an appointment setter. So appointment setting is one step below closing. You don't need to deal with the objections, the no's, and you don't need to deal with the pricing side of things. Your main job is to book them on a call if they're qualified with a closer. So that's really all. And that helped to build up my confidence in different ways, because then you start small and then you start slowly believing in your ability to sell. And then 2.5 months in, I requested for promotion to close people, especially
Wow.
since I was one of the top 2 setters in the company as well. And that's how I helped to generate more than $150,000 US dollars in revenue in 3 months.
Wow.
So the difference here in general is just a complete different relationship to rejection in general. Because the truth is, in this industry, you really face a lot of rejection. What we mentioned earlier is your close rate. You will expect it to be anywhere between 20 to 30%. That is your average close rate. And because of the word no, a lot of people fear sales as a concept. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, a sales conversation is simply 2 people talking, right? Isn't this scary thing? It's just that your ego is not able to handle rejection. That's why you try to protect yourself by thinking it's one really big and scary thing. Because a lot of people have this misconception that sales, at the end of a sale, they need to make a transaction. But actually, that is not always the case. If you're going to make sure that outcome will always hold true, then that can also be borderline manipulation to a certain extent, right? And that's also, with sales, it's also not about trying to convince someone to buy something that they don't need, because that would probably reflect poor lead qualification in your entire sales process. So, but when the moment they hop onto that call with you, they should be primed to, need something from you. There should be a natural fit in terms of your offer, what you're offering, and what they need. So real sales, like ethical, effective sales, is just about identifying the mental blocks that are stopping someone from moving towards what they already want. And then help them see through those blocks using their own logic. So you don't actually need to put ideas in someone's head. They have their own ideas already. You're just helping them be very real with themselves, real with their current situation, and then be able to see like where they are at more clearly. Because a lot of times people try to avoid discomfort, right? And they are really uncomfortable in that situation. So the thing I realized, especially after entering coaching, which is what I'm doing right now, is that actually, if you are a coach or a tutor, you're probably already doing sales. Because every time you help a client identify like where they are stuck, right? You are doing the diagnostic work as a closer already. And every time you ask a question that challenges someone, helps them to see maybe a different working clearly, or like see a maybe a different method to use to solve like a math equation or something. Like you're doing the reframing work of a closer. The skills are really similar. The only thing that changed is the context and that there's a transaction at the end, right? And sales to me is being able to lead that conversation, being in control of that conversation. You guide someone through clarity from where they are right now. Maybe they don't know like how to solve this question to where they want to be at. They gain more confidence in math, for example, because now they know X, Y, and Z. And then afterwards, you give them the opportunity to make a decision that serves them, right? So end goal of sales is still to help them make a decision. The worst way to end off a conversation is to be stuck in a limbo of I might. So that's not where like you want to be stuck in.
Some of them they don't know what is I might.
I might is like one, the one, like they're not sure. You just want to make a decision, like yes or no. And that's the best. Now you keep thinking about why need to like whether they want to hop on your offer or not. And it's quite a waste of time. So should I answer the question now or?
Later. Actually, I also have a lot of questions, but I'm just letting you go with your flow, because I think that there's a lot of things that you have gained over the years of selling, and there's so much. I think you're just unloading.
I'm unloading. All right.
Sorry, maybe I can ask a few questions and then you see where you can come in.
Sure.
Because of your experience, there's so much things to share. But I think for someone who is very new, what does priming means? What does helping someone gain clarity means? And I think there's a lot of principles that you share. I think if you give some examples.
Right.
And then also down to example. So how do you actually say? How do you actually ask? So maybe you can just help us to chunk down.
Okay.
Otherwise, a bit so many things.
Okay, then actually, I can also give you guys like an example of questions to go into. But just now, your question was more on the clarity, how to give them clarity. Is it
like pre-frame? What Mark said, like to pre-frame them.
So with priming, right? In general, it's all about the first part of a sales call. In general, is always about setting the frame of yourself as a closer, because you don't want to seem like a people pleaser as a closer. You cannot be one if you really want to make a sale, to be honest. You need to be brave enough to challenge people in terms of their current mindsets, their current beliefs, and then reframe them for them throughout the entire call. But at least at the start, what you need to focus on is showing up as someone who is credible, someone who is in control of the conversation. And once you set that tone at the start, that's how you're able to guide them through the rest of that 1 hour call. So, for example, when it comes to pre-framing, it can look like setting expectations during the call. Say, when you hop on the call, you say, oh, hi, how are you? You create a rapport first, and then you set the expectation of, usually during these calls, this is what we'll do, like X, Y, and Z, all right? And then, of course, if there's like a fit or something, then I'll be happy to see how we can potentially work together, walk you through that. But otherwise, if there's no fit, no worries at all. Or I can just pass you some resources that can hopefully help you or connect you to someone in my network. So something like that. So that either ways, whether or not they continue the conversation, they will have some value at the end of it. So you still want to maintain that idea. And then from there, that's where you can transition to the entire diagnostic phase. So the diagnostic phase is one of the most important part of the sales call. I spend anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes there even. 30 is quite long, but 20 minutes is a good timing to keep to with the diagnostic side. And the way I learned this with the concept of question-based selling. So question-based selling is all about asking questions. And that is because people believe themselves rather than believe someone else, right? They only believe what they say. So the whole idea is to get them to say what they actually want. And that is a true reflection of their current situation, of their desires, of the gaps that they feel they are facing right now. And when they say it, they really believe it even more than you telling them like, oh, you need this UV water bottle because it's exam time, you don't want your child to fall sick. If I were there, they would be like, that is damn bullshit lah. But then if you were to guide them through the entire thought process and ask questions like, oh, how is your child doing right now? And then they're like, oh, he's not really feeling well, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, is it like, how do you feel about it? Is it going to affect his exams, for example? And they're like, I think so. I'm not really sure. He's a bit behind on his work. And then when you can't say things like that, then that makes them be part of that narrative that you're also painting. And you're not painting a false narrative. You're painting whatever narratives that they give, which is true to their current experience. So the few layers of question-based selling, the first part is always the idea of what's happening right now, right? What is their current situation? How do they feel? And most importantly, how do they feel about their current situation? Because just saying I'm like my kid is not really doing well in math. He's getting like a C grade in math right now, right? That's just a fact, right? But then how do you really make them feel it? It's like diving into the emotional side of things and understanding how it is affecting the kid potentially. If it's a PSLE exam, how is it going to affect the chances of getting into dream school, things like that. And when you attach their current situation to all of these different ideas and hopes that the kid have, right? Then that kind of changes the entire conversation also. So when it comes to asking questions, it's not just the what, but also the emotions underneath. And then, so once you paint the pain point, the current situation, then you go on the flip side of things. What are their goals? What kind of life do they want to live when they have solved this issue? How does it make them feel when they are at this version of themselves? And when you have this really contrasting two narrative that you just painted for them, naturally they will realize that there is a gap. But of course, you need to make them say that there is a gap for them to also feel it even more than just keeping it in their head. A lot of people, we are stressed, right? But only when we say it out, then we realize, I think I really need rest. So that's the whole concept of it. So how to make them realize that there's a gap? It's very simple. You just ask them like, oh, what if nothing changes though? How would they feel if nothing changed? What is it costing you right now to stay right where you're at? And that's how you create this gap and widen it even further by pinning it to a certain emotion. Are they anxious? Would they feel overwhelmed, scared? Feel like they're a bad parent? Even some people.
I feel like I'm a
right?
parent.
Who, if they don't care as much, because do it ethically and within reason. But these are just some examples I'm throwing out also
I have
to
two
widen
questions.
that gap.
I have two questions. I think one of them is sometimes when we talk to Singaporeans, sometimes we are not very good with our emotion. In my situation, sometimes it's very hard to get them to share what kind of emotion they are feeling. So how do you address that?
Actually, then I have a question for you. Can you give me an example?
I can see your talent coming in. Throw a question back to a question. I feel very stressed. Sorry, what's the question again? Sorry, Jamie, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
You.
What was the question that you asked me when I asked you a question?
Oh, I just asked, can you give me an example of the parent
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you, really. Oh my
to
god.
draw the emotion out of the parent?
I'm losing you. Sorry.
Oh. Wait, you know what? Let me just use my AirPods. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Just now was all smooth until moments ago. Come as
Okay,
well.
no worries.
Okay, sorry. The question is.
Give me an example of it being difficult to draw emotion out of a parent.
Offhand, some parents, in my opinion, will not even talk about it. They will direct it to, oh, my kid is like that. My kid not doing work. So they actually dodge the topic on their own emotion, about their emotion. So that's one thing. Another thing is that they respond, no matter how I tell her, she won't change. They're always on the phone. Something like that. So they are not saying the emotion, but they are saying what they observe or what they are playing in their head. Oh, I always see my kid on the phone. I always see my kid not doing work. I always see my kid making the mistakes.
And then how do you continue that conversation afterwards? Wow, ask this. Then how do you feel about that? That's easy. Because I spoke to, in my head, because I actually speak to a lot of Singaporeans before also. And what I realized is I sell to a lot of Singaporeans with this exact method. It's not that they don't have that emotions. It's that sometimes you need to push a little bit deeper, or probe a little bit deeper to extract the emotions out of them. And when you ask something like, oh, what are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about that? And then they're like, oh, like that, lor. Right, then you can ask, oh, what does that mean though? That law looks very different for everybody. What is that like for you? So you always try to make it as specific as possible for that person so that they will start sharing more about what it means to them. Makes
So
sense?
it's like you want them to put a word to the emotion.
That is at least how I do it, just because it makes it more realistic once people say it out loud. And also for me as a closer to know where I'm at in the entire closing conversation.
Got it. I have a question which is, I think, is part of what you have just shared also. So how you direct to a person and when will trade towards a sale, which I know is a KPI for the sales process, but how do you know that the person is a poor fit and a good fit? And what do you do as closer whereby I know that sometimes we need the sales, right? But it's a poor fit. So what do you do? Or how do you actually cope with the mental battle in your head?
As a closer, you really don't care if it's a fit or not. Because your main job, frankly speaking, you just need to care about bringing money in, right? So that's the biggest thing about a pure closer. But I'm sure most people here, you guys have your own business as you do. So then that makes it different, because right now that I'm also entering that whole coaching scene, I'm still figuring out what is considered a good fit on that fit. But I guess that really depends on your own values as a person also, and also the conversation that you have with the other party, whether you feel there is a vibe, whether you feel there is a value alignment between you and the other person. Some people that can come in feeling very arrogant, for example, and I'm someone that cannot stand arrogance. So if you bring the kind of energy into the call and I'm able to sense it, it will turn me off, right?
Not you, John. I'm the kind of
No, you're not. But it's really damn hard, man. I cannot stand them. It's also a matter of what you believe in, what are your values. It looks very different for everybody after all. And when it comes to that mindset side of things, the main reason, I say this a little bit at the start, but the reason most people think that they are terrible at sales is because it's because they cannot emotionally handle the word no, right? And for coaches and tutors especially, you guys genuinely care about people that you serve. So when someone says no to you, sometimes you would take it as a rejection of you instead of just a rejection of the offer. And it's very important to separate the two. As a people pleaser myself, when I started,
I know that. I can see that.
I am still a little bit. It's an ongoing journey. But when I started in sales, every no felt very personal, especially in cold calling. Right? Every objection felt like just an attack to you. And you either collapse too quickly, you just let people walk away to avoid the discomfort, or you push in other ways that can be borderline unethical, right? So this shift happened when I heard no enough times that I started to understand they're saying no to a decision. And sometimes that no just means that they're scared. They're scared of investing like $3,600, for example, into a year-long program when they can just do it like the way that they've always done it, the way that they're already familiar with it. So this is the kind of fear mentality that you, as a closer, as a coach also, you need to help your clients to work through, not only at the start of the sales, but even throughout the entire journey of coaching them. And truth to be told, I realize there's very different kinds of no's. And if it's like a FU kind of no, right? Probably you just didn't build enough trust between you and your lead. If it's like I'm not really sure about it, it's a lot of money kind of vibe, they're willing to open up about why they are hesitant to you instead of just saying, I'm not interested. Anyone can say, not interested, I need to go somewhere, fine. Anyone can pull that out and you cannot say anything. But the fact that they're willing to open up to you just shows that I have this problem, help me solve it, and I'll move forward with you. So then your job is just to solve it. Make it easier for them in whatever ways that you possibly can. So another and the last reason I can think of when it comes to why potentially good closes slip up is because you attach yourself way too much to the out. Because a lot of times you think of sales as earning money when it's in fact giving them a reason to like and trust you. Right? When they like and trust you, the money comes already. So we put a lot of focus on ourselves during that call to earn that money, when in fact the focus should be on helping that other party through the issue that they are facing, and then naturally why they need your help. Because you're invested in their journey and you know for a fact you can help them, wouldn't that decision to engage you start being like a no-brainer? So you can influence, you can, like any closer, you can always influence the way people think, right? You on the reframing tactics and whatnot. But you can never ever make a decision for them. So you need to know where your boundaries are. And if you can make a decision for them, then why attach yourself to the outcome?
That's nice.
That's out of your control in that sense.
As you're saying, there are so many questions that I also ask myself, because I've been doing that for about 2 years plus, and then those mistakes that you have said, right, I made all of them and still making them.
That's normal.
A few questions so you can drink your water right now. One question will be, sometimes my empathy is very high. So sometimes it's very hard to juggle between the hats of a social worker as well as hats of helping professional, and so a closer. At the same time, I think what I want to ask also is, sometimes as a coach, even in the call itself, I make so many mistakes of coaching the person on the spot. So what's the balance also? And we have a common coach, and he himself told me that he also sometimes he coach on the spot as well. So it's very hard to draw the line. Then at the same time, is if a person sometimes before it's very hard to decide.
So the first thing is on the empathy side of things. How you separate being empathetic and a professional? And I guess my question to you is, why do you feel that they can't be complementary though?
I think I agree with you. The empathy part is my superpower. And many of them felt that because I can empathize with their situation, that's why they join me. But at the same time, now I'm stuck what to answer you because I feel very stressed. So my question to this is, how do you strike the balance of coaching as well? I think that one I am more keen to know. Sometimes I'm in
Right.
and then they coach until they feel like, oh, I can do it already. I'm a good praiser. Praise until the person feels so good doing a call that, John, I don't need you already. This is also my problem.
The big turn of events. Wait, so just to clarify your key question now, it's not so much on the empathy side of things, but more on like how to stop yourself from coaching too much.
It's a problem for me.
So because I don't know how you currently coach, so it's also hard for me to
Sure.
say anything.
Or giving tips, giving so much tips that the person feel that they can do it by themselves. Because of adding value, sometimes we over add the value.
Usually, I keep my calls to maximum 1 hour long. 20 minutes is really spent like exploring where they're at already, right? The next 20 minutes or 10 minutes is usually spent understanding more about like coaching in that sense, like adding the value and giving feedback based on that. And the whole idea is you just need to say the what, you don't need to say the how.
What's the difference?
So the what is, let's say whatever I'm saying today, right, is essentially the what. But do you know what are how to actually ask the questions? What's the tonality like? How should you think? How should you navigate a conversation? You guys probably don't know that still.
No. This is when we'll sign up for your upcoming course.
Exactly. That's when you sign up for my upcoming course, right? And all you know right now is the concept. You guys know the concept. You can, and there are people who can take concepts and do it very well, and all the best for them. That's fine. But there are also people who want additional support to speed up the entire implementation process, right? And that's exactly the kind of balance that you want to hit also. So you tell them the what, you don't need to review your how. Yeah. And that's still adding value.
So just to clarify, the how will be like, oh, these are the 3 steps, and I am explicitly telling you the 3 steps. But the what will, oh, you have to improve on your math. But I will keep the 3 steps for the paid coaching call.
Yes, but it also depends on how detailed you are. Let's say, I think you can you give me one example of a tip that you usually share with your clients?
Maybe I can share a bit more, because my clients' profiles are educators now. They come in with the problem of generating leads. So when I told them that, oh, actually you can do paid ads as something that you can explore in the IG paid ads platform. And then it's quite simple, and then you can just do it by yourself, because you can just follow the steps. So I think, I'm not sure whether by saying this, I naturally went into the how. Again, that's why I'm confused right now.
You say you can do paid ads, right? And to an educator who doesn't even know how to do paid ad is still what?
Okay.
How do you actually set that up? How do you create that story, that post, for example, that is effective enough to gain leads, right? Because after all, the idea of a paid ad is just a tool. But then to actually gain the leads, you got all your different strategy that you use for your own business as well within. So in that case, the paid ads is still, you're not going overboard into extensive coaching. I think a lot of people, it's hard for them to go overboard into the coaching if you really limit yourself to 1 hour call, for example, because it's not enough time.
So to you, one hour is a max. Anything more than that is way too long.
I would always keep to 1 hour just because it gives you sufficient time to gain their trust, know them as a person, know what they need help with, pitch your service, and then overcome objections. That is also an industry standard that I'm very used to as well. And I mean, as like coaches, as educators, also like your guys' time are very valuable. Like, you don't want to just spend 2 hours on a coaching call like that, or on a sales call like that.
Got it. So just to recap on the stages, the first one is to reset the expectations on the call, then also to understand them, which is your diagnostic, and then the third one is to share with them the program. Am I right? The program.
There's a lot of steps. So
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one is set your frame. Number two is the question-based selling part, whatever I say,
Diagnostic.
the diagnostic part.
Yeah.
Number three, you want to preempt objections. This is a part that you close the doors on objections before they appear. So you reframe their mindset before you even go to your pitch really, so that when you reframe at the start, at the end, they won't throw you all that, oh, it's so expensive, all this kind of nonsense.
Yeah,
Right?
maybe
So,
so later you can share a bit more on the objections
Sure.
part, which I thought is something interesting.
So you preempt objections and then you go into your transition stage, right? And between the previous part and then the pitch, and then you go into the pitch or the coaching part, depending on how you structure yours. And then from there, you go into the hard close. So that's when you state your objection, state your pricing. And then from there is all the objection handling side of things really. So this is a flow.
Got it. So two questions here, and I think I want to hear more on to how to handle the objection, as well as I think there are some tutors who I talk to, when the parents they talk to, right, there are so many questions, and end up some of them are not able to end the call. And then there was a friend of mine who said that she was on the call with a parent for 2 hours and end up the parent didn't buy, because she doesn't know how to stop it also. I'm not sure what she do, and most educators are very passive.
So on the objection side of things, so I'm hearing two things. Number one is a matter of pacing, and number two is a matter of objection handling, right? So for pacing first, it's up if you are in control of the call, you can pace it in however way you want it to pace. Sometimes I go beyond 1 hour if I know for sure I can close this person. I will of course take the time to go beyond 1 hour, right? But if it's like you are being put along in that conversation by that person, then you need to start taking control of the conversation again.
How you do that when you tutor?
So for example, that in your scenario, the parent is asking a lot of question on what, for example?
Sometimes my experience was the parents see as an opportunity to unload as well. Unload because at home no one listen to them. As a parent, sometimes when we talk about our kids, we have 101 things to complain about. So sometimes when we're not careful, the tutor who's supposedly to do a sales call, but end up the parent uses it as an opportunity to unload all the negative emotions on the person. And when they talk, some of them are talking so well that there's no full stop on.
Then I think it doesn't have a problem to do with the conversation itself, but more on at the start, you lost the frame already. Because if you say very clearly, a lot of people think they should go on a call and be like, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. No, like, you're not their friend, right? You're literally someone who is wanting to appear as like a coach, as a mentor for their kids. So how you should present yourself should be more professional, straight to the point. And you can start like, oh, can you hear me? Can you see me? Are you John, for example, right? And then they'll be like, yeah, be like, oh, nice to meet you, I'm Jamie. And then you can ask something like, oh, I saw that when you booked this call, you were very interested in XYZ. And I just wanted to hear more about who you are as a person. Give me like 30 seconds introduction of who you are, something like that, right? Then 30 seconds, that keeps their frame in mind. Don't like ramble, right? Some people don't care, they want to be hard to stop. But then at least you keep your frame, and then you'll be like, oh, that's great to hear, and I'll definitely dive deeper into it. So actually on this call, this is what you can expect. when you set this kind of framing, that's when you're able to prevent the conversation from going somewhere else and being led by the parent. You can take control of it right from
Got
the
it.
start. And then when they know what to expect, they will essentially want to follow your flow. Actually, a lot of time people just want to be told what to do.
A lot of times I sense that they want to be told that they made the right choice.
Validation is important also. Oh, and the second question you had was on the objection side of things, right?
Which you can, I think, a lot of things to share also.
Objection, there are two tiers to it. Before the price drop and after the price is reviewed, right? Before and after. And before is the part where you try to wrap up as many objections as possible so that by the time the price is reviewed, they'll just say and go. It's much easier to handle it then than to handle it after the price. First, the price always builds up a lot of tension and reduce trust naturally sometimes. So by handling them before, right? Remember when I say people only believe what they say, not what you tell them. When they believe that and you're able to reframe their mindset regarding money investment, regarding it being like a priority. At the end, when they say it out themselves, oh, this is a big priority for me. I want to solve this right now as soon as possible. At the end, they're not going to be like, I don't think I need this right now. They can't say that because people hate to contradict what they say. People hate to be inconsistent with their current thought processes, their patterns. So you want to bring up before, make sure tie up all of those knots, close all of those doors. And then afterwards, when you drop the price at the end, that's when the real objections will start appearing also. So let's do before first. Before, there are a few things you can preempt. You can preempt whether it is a priority to them, how urgent it is to them. And they say, no, actually it's not that urgent. Then you can probe, oh, no, like, why do you say that? Like, why isn't it something urgent? Do you want to X, Y, and Z, right? And then that's how you can either build up that urgency for them or disqualify them. If it's really not urgent, then it most likely wouldn't buy from you also.
So do you stop the call at the point in time? It means it's not urgent for you. Bye.
No lah. So what I'll do is, I'll probably, if it's really a no fit for me, what I'll do is probably after the entire questioning part, I'll be like, it's really interesting to learn. So this is what I feel like you can work on next. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. Bye. Something like that. So you don't even you don't really need to go too deep into it. It's more of still giving them value since they took the time to talk on the call with you after all. But you don't need to pitch anything or something since there's no fit at all.
Sorry. So then what if they say, oh, I know that I may not need it now, but can I ask you about what's the program about? If you want you to go on, then how will you?
Then I'll probably say, oh, but then I'll probably probe, oh, it's not something that you are interested in. What makes you want to learn more about it though? And then that's probably the angle in which you can sell with already. If they really have zero interest, why would they want to hear? If they want to hear, means they're curious about something that they can potentially gain. And then use what they can potentially gain as an anchor for why they should buy. It makes sense.
Like reignite the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. A lot of gong fu there.
It's a lot with sales. It's really just practice. If you don't practice, you wouldn't know. To be honest, one other thing I wanted to say is there's no single right way to close, right? I'm never a hardcore closer. My style is very warm. I'm direct though, and also very diagnostic. I ask a lot of questions, but that's who I am and work for the client of clients that I want to serve, right? But your style, John, your style, will be very different, and it should be also lah. Because, for example, John, you're really good at being empathetic. That's your superpower. So use that. My superpower is being able to challenge people and hold space for them. That's what I realized through the calls as well. So we need to leverage on our strengths and then slowly find our style as we close more, or not even close more, as we hop on more calls with different people and different profiles. You can better understand what their archetypes are like, how you move around their thought process.
One more thing, thanks for the praise and the reaffirmation. And this is the first time as a host I get asked questions. So I know that your superpower is definitely in asking questions. And I think what you said resonated with me. It's one thing to ask question, and it's another thing to hold space for the person to really just to hear them. And I can sense that you are listening to me and interested in what I want to say. Because in some context, when I have a guest with like extrovert, I can feel the energy like coming forward. And then when they ask a question, sometimes I feel that they are asking because they want to ask and they don't give me time to respond. And I don't feel heard as well. So thanks for holding the space for me, Jamie. And I feel safe.
That's good to hear. Sense is a very important life skill. To be honest, it's not just for business. Me in relationship, I use it to help my boyfriend understand things when we argue, and it works like magic. So it's like knowing how to reframe all of these concepts in people's minds.
So I know who always wins.
Actually.
Yeah. But the thing is, I feel that probably there's something that you could have done. Correct me if I'm wrong. He felt that he has won. But actually, you are the winner.
Yes, but no,
Oops. Yeah.
I think so cheap, man.
Okay, I think
Too
it's
cheap,
really,
right?
I think the thing as a couple is one to also felt heard,
Ah.
respected. At the end of the day, it's really just two people wanting to make things work.
Exactly.
And different views, but let's see how we can come together to make things work.
Mm.
Empathy, see, it's empathy, right?
It is. And mirroring also what you're doing. Like you're repeating what I say, and then you're adding your own thoughts into it to add more value to that conversation. Is also another natural tendency you have.
Are you sure that you are 23 years old?
I'm 24 this year, I haven't done yet.
Are you 24 years old? Okay.
Yes.
When I talk to you, I think the thing about you is, I feel that I can talk to you because I think you're at a level beyond 24 years old.
Thank you.
Really, wow. Your boyfriend must be lucky.
Wow, thank you so much. Such a sweet comment.
Gotta tell him, I was told that today. I'm a lucky star. Yeah, last one, I know that time is running out for you. How do you deal with objection that come after the sale? I think that's the last part of the conversation. And then we know that the aim of the call is also to have a product out. You quickly go through your list, see what are the things that you want to add in, and to wrap up as well. That'll be nice for you for your book creation.
I answer your question first. How to overcome objections that comes after, right? So there are many different frameworks, but I'll just go through what I personally have learned. The first one is agree, which is be on their side. For example, someone says, "Oh, I need to think about it," right? And to agree is just saying, "I totally understand that." Just creating that common ground first. Like in a relationship, you don't want to be like, "But," etc. Right? You don't want to say that when someone gives you that defense. Don't say "but." You'll be like, "I understand what you mean," right? And then you say your "but." There's same concept here. So you want to agree, be on the same side, make them think like you're solving the problem together with them. And then afterwards, you want to ask or isolate the objection. You can be like when you say you need to think about it, what are two things that you're uncertain about that you need more like clarity on, for example, right? So like you want to isolate it, and then hopefully that leads them to actually saying the actual objection, right? And then afterwards, from there, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm just not really sure of the of how the program really flows, and it's also a little bit expensive." So from there, you get two objections already. Number one, the easier one to solve is how the program flows. Just explain that, right? And the second one is the financial side of things, that they are feeling a little bit afraid to commit, right? So that's when once those two objections are reviewed, you just tackle them one by one. For the money, there are so many different ways to do it. You can either increase their perceived value of your product, right, by asking them how, like pinning back to what they said at the start, like how would this help them to change their life? Do they actually see the value in this product, X, Y, and Z? So you can do that, or you can also go like the logistical way of, oh, what if you were to split it up into different like payments? So you need to see for yourself, is the reason for saying like it's too expensive because they don't see the value of it yet, or they physically cannot pay that amount. And it's important to differentiate them. I guess in Singapore, most people, they just don't see the value. At least when I was closing in the US, a lot of people were living paycheck to paycheck. And that also leads into something I also want to add, which is in the ethics of closing. If someone told you they're dead broke, whatever they have left is for rent next month, it really boils down to your values, whether you will continue pushing it. And so you need to have your own integrity in sales also. And then once you manage to overcome these objections, the most important thing to do at the end is to reclose them. So reclose means, if we were to do this, shall we move ahead with it? Stopping you from going ahead. So I ask you a question to confirm their commitment so that you can move ahead with the transaction and whatnot that comes beyond. Make sense?
So it's a sense, it's like you also want them to verbalize their objection.
Oh, for sure.
What's stopping you from blah, 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 blah?
Because to verbalize that is the only way for you to know how to solve that for them also. And some people, their real objection can just be, like maybe they say, it's a lot of money. Actually, their real objection is that they're just scared to move forward, scared to make such a big investment. And then your job is to walk them through the fear and reframe the fear. Like when you're growing, do you usually feel comfortable or uncomfortable, for example, right? That discomfort most likely just means that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Isn't that a good thing? Because that means you're going to grow and you're going to achieve X, Y, and Z. And also reframing it from like, I'm so scared of committing because what if it doesn't work, to you are in control of whether it works or not. Either way, we'll be there to support you and your kid throughout this period, right? But then how are you planning to think about this fear That's still up to you. I'm trying to teach them in a different way.
Got it. And that's also part of coaching as well.
Exactly. That's why I say from the start, it's not too different. You guys probably have this skill already. It's just the concept of sales make it seem very big and scary when it's really just talking.
Got it. And I think what is different about what you have said and what I feel how you say it is the connection is there, the empathy is there, the warmth is there. You give the persona of a very warm person. So I think that's also built trust
Yeah,
really
agree.
fast.
And that's why back to the first conversation with Taiso. So when you say like on a video call, right? You can see it much clearer than if I were off my camera right now. So that's also why a video call is always my preference. Or even like face to face. Right? I put people face to face before, and it's been like an even more enjoyable conversation.
One of the things that works for me, just to share also, is I want to feel good about talking to the person as well. If I say during the conversation, I don't feel good, I feel something is like it's hidden, it's unease, it may tell me that this may not be a right fit as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
What you say come into how Lian one, the ego very high, very confrontational. I do have a call before whereby this tutor, he wanted me to help. But whatever I say, he say, oh, this is nothing new to me. I have heard before already. Then I say, and then I try again. I thought it may be a one-time off remark, but later I say another thing, right? This is nothing new. It's just, can you tell me something that's new? Then I was like, oh my God, why is so draining? I don't come here to be drained of my energy.
As a coach / educator and so then you will have two very different reaction. For you, if it's really then you don't feel alignment with it, then you probably just let go of this sale. You won't really care. But as a closer, if you really want a sale to get the money, you need to use different strategy already, right?
Okay. Maybe he'll bite with the coach who's assigned to him.
He seems like a very, I don't know, based on what I hear, he seems like a very dominant character. Also, dominant character, you need to stroke their ego. And then it comes down to 你要还是不要咯. If you don't want, then never mind lah. Yeah.
Got it. Wow, 1 hour already. This is like a master class on how to get close. And for those who tune in, I hope you got value. I certainly learned a lot. And I'm going to transcribe your transcript and go and list out the questions that Jamie has said and print out for myself.
But before we end, do you have any question?
Can type out, it's easy for me to edit. Then at the same time, Jamie, you look at your content page. Anything you want to edit? I think it's quite a lot of content for your book. And the book shouldn't be very thick. It should be easy read as well. So there are two things here. One is the prospecting part. Going on a Zoom call with a parent, it could be a new thing or something that's uncommon. At most, it's a phone call. Even for tutors going to the person's house, right? Sometimes they don't see the parents. Or a lot of times they don't see the parents. Or they only talk to the parents or hear from them when they pay. So these are some of the things that's happening in the tuition market.
Actually, just an idea that popped into my head also is like,
please go ahead.
For existing students as well, why don't you guys, you can even say on offering like maybe like a term review of your kids' performance, like use that as a reason to pop on the Zoom call with them, and then you can naturally flow into the entire conversation using the term review as a anchor. And then that's how you upsell existing clients. New clients, I would say, when they prospect you, they call you, is it?
Either you call them or they call you, or mostly is WhatsApping.
Oh, mainly WhatsApp.
And a lot of times, there are simply so many choices around, so many educators, so many tutors. Some of them may be just shopping around.
I would say this kind of sale, it works best if it's inbound and they really know who you are, rather than cold. So for cold is a very different strategy because you need to really build that trust first. They need to know if you have a personal brand online, for example, then that's how they can trust you even more. So I wouldn't go immediately into this right off the bat. Since I don't have the biggest understanding of the industry, but based on what I'm hearing, it's very like shopping around, right? You want to anchor them with some form of results first or something like that for them to trust you, or through your nature walk gathering drawn, for example, right? If there are not just educator there or parents there, actually not a nature walk, sorry. You plan the event for the kid and a parent, right? I know some tutors in your group do that. Then that's actually the best way to gain that interest. Ask them to hop on a Zoom call and then close them there. Actually, it would be the best funnel based on what I'm hearing.
Yep. I believe that as well. Got it. I think one of the things about building trust is also pushing out high quality content like what you're doing. But that one is also another conversation.
That is another conversation.
Ah,
What's the
so
personal branding one?
which it's something that I know that you're very good at as well.
All right.
And can you just share one biggest takeaway? Wait. What is one biggest thing that we should all take away from the session? Also to
I
wrap
think
up.
the biggest one is really the idea that sales actually everyone's selling something every day. John, when you ask your girls to go to bed, for example, that's convincing them to do something that they don't want, right? That is a form of selling. Sales is everywhere. It's just that the kind of sales that it seems scary is the one with the transaction tied to it. So put less focus on the transaction and more focus on the person you're talking to and how you can add value to them. And that will naturally lead into the money. The money will naturally come in. So reframe your mindset surrounding sales as something scary to just talking and being curious about the person.
Got it. All right. So with that, Jamie, thanks so much for sharing and holding a 1 hour crash course or master class / workshop / intensive / consult / I learned so much. If they want to look for you, can you share your IG handler?
I think that's a follow me already.
I
I
might
think
follow
I
you
texted
lah.
him 1 day ago.
If you want to follow Jamie, is Jing Min, JINGMIN _. Underscore. I'm very curious. I want to ask you why 2 underscore?
Because the username was not available. So
you want to
yeah,
chop
very
it lah, that's why.
practical. Yeah.
Okay, for those who want to follow Jamie, go to @min _ underscore. Wait, yeah.